Hey guys, welcome back. So the first thing I want to do before we even get started is give a massive trigger warning. This case that we're going to be talking about today is very brutal. There is quite a bit of detail on the murders that happened, and they're very disturbing. I have been listening to true crime cases and, reading true crime books and things like that for years. And it is very rare that there's a case that makes me physically ill, but this case did. So I just want to give you a warning. If you're not into that, that's okay. Click out. But yeah, I just want to let you know kind of what's coming, because it's very disturbing. So we're going to get into it.
In this clip, you're going to see that the officers approach the back door and see that the doorknob is missing. They then enter into Lisa's SUV and get her garage door opener, which is how they're able to access the inside of the house. As soon as they're inside the house, the first thing that you see is a large pot sitting on the stove, and that stove is actually on. But the whole first floor looks pretty normal besides the stove being on and the groceries being left at the front door. Once they start going up the steps, you can clearly see the blood droplets on the stairs, the carpet, and on the wall.
Yeah, I think so.
This case is about Joel Guy Jr. If you have not heard of him, buckle up, because it's gonna get very gross very quick. So, Saturday, November 26th, 2016, 28-year-old Joel Guy Jr. murdered his father, Joel Guy Sr., and his mother, Lisa Guy. Joel Guy Jr., who we're going to just refer to as Joel Jr., stabbed his father at least 42 times and his mother 31 times. Joel Jr. was convicted of these murders in October of 2020, so not that long ago, and he did receive life in prison without the possibility of parole. So we're gonna kind of get into his motive of why he did this. Joel Guy Sr. and Lisa, were set to retire. Joel Sr. was actually already retired, but Lisa was still working. And from everything that I have read, she was solely working to provide financially for Joel Jr. 28-year-old man living off of his parents. They're paying all of his bills. He was in college. He was in college for a long time. He was kind of like a career student. And he was not working. He wasn't paying for anything on his own. So essentially what happened was his parents had put their home up for sale, and they were moving to a different home, a smaller home, to spend their retirement years in, because they really crunched the numbers, and they discovered that if they want to live comfortably, they're not going to be able to continue to pay for their son's lifestyle. It was time for him to grow up and get a job and take care of himself. So, they did break the news to him that he was going to be cut off financially, essentially. And that is the reason that these murders occurred. If his parents were either missing or murdered, he would receive a $500,000 life insurance policy. So his goal was to receive that money. Just sad, you know, like, you take care of your kid and you give everything you have to them and sacrifice so much. His mother didn't have to still be working. Just for them to do something like this to you. It's very disheartening. So, anyway, so the reason that the murders were discovered, Lisa did not show up for work on November 28th, 2020. Her boss called the sheriff's department and asked them to do a welfare check because it was completely out of character for her to not come to work and to not call. She knew immediately that something was wrong. So, Knox County officers, Stephen Ballard and Jeremy McCord, along with a few other officers, approached the home on 11434 Golden View Lane. They found a for sale sign in the yard. And they discovered when they walked up to the front door that there were groceries sitting just inside of the door that included cold items. So like ice cream and things that could go bad. Upon entering, officers came across the guy's wallets on the table along with a sledgehammer, which is really eerie and disturbing. The next table was covered with guns. So the entire table is one of those long dining room tables. Guns covered the entire table. They walked through the kitchen, and as they walked through the kitchen, there was a large stock pot simmering on the stove. Hey, so editing me here. I'm not sure how I missed it, but one of the things that I didn't mention when I mentioned the stock pot was that unfortunately he did decapitate his mother, and her head was what was in that pot simmering on the stove. So just wanted to give you that information. Well, they went up the stairs. So they go up the stairs. They're announcing themselves the entire time they're going up the stairs. And they're telling them, you know, we're here to check your welfare. We're here to check your welfare. The whole time this is happening, you can hear a dog. I'm not even going to say the dog was barking. The dog was howling for help, is what it sounded like. It is heartbreaking to listen to. And one of the reasons I think the dog sounded like that was because Joel Guy Jr. had turned the heat up to the max inside the house, and he had locked the dog in one of the rooms. So the dog was in there for an unknown amount of time and probably knew something was happening. Dogs have very good senses about things like that, and I'm sure that that dog heard a lot of very scary things. So the whole time they're walking through the home, from the time they enter, you hear this dog and you just don't know where the dog is at, where it's coming from, what's wrong with it. But if you listen to the video, it's actually kind of hard to listen to. So anyway, they go up the stairs, and as they're going up the stairs, they see blood spatters on the floor. As they get up to the top of the steps, there is a lot more blood. It's on the walls, it's all over the carpet. And you hear one of the officers say, "Is that hands?" Chills went through my body. it was very disturbing. You know, you kind of have to take a step back and think what some of these officers must see or hear when they are doing their job, which is protecting people, is really sad. And I really hope that after the scene that these officers had to see, that they received the help that I'm sure they very desperately needed, from some type of therapy or something, because I could not imagine some of the things that they saw and then having to go to sleep at night. So thank you to police officers for everything that you do, and I couldn't imagine. So anyway, so one of the officers spotted a severed pair of hands in one of the bedrooms, just laying on the floor. As they are going back down to go downstairs to call for backup, they look in the bathroom and you see two large blue bins, and these bins have body parts from both Joel Sr. and Lisa inside of them in some type of liquid. So how did this happen? Joel Jr. first attacked his father. His mother was at Walmart actually getting the groceries that they saw when they first came in. So his father was in the exercise room using the Bowflex, and he came up behind him, from what they can tell, and attacked him. He used a knife, and from the scene, from what they could tell, Joel Guy Sr. fought for his life. He was caught off guard, but it also appears that Joel Guy Jr. was caught off guard by how strong his father was. I don't think when he was planning out this whole murder that he really considered having to deal with somebody who fought back. And his dad put up a hell of a fight. Unfortunately, you know, he was overpowered in the end, and I'm sure it had to do with blood loss. He just couldn't get control of the knife. So once his father was dead, he started to try to clean up a little bit, and his mother came home from the grocery store. So it appears she walked in the front door, she set the groceries down, and what they think happened was her son yelled at her from upstairs, you know, maybe asked her to come up or something like that. It could have been anything, and she went up the steps, and as soon as she got up the steps, he proceeded to stab her repeatedly. So, these murders were very much premeditated. So the first surveillance footage that they have of Joel Guy Jr. gathering supplies was actually from November 7th. So he was buying several different items, and these items were items that he used in the murders. So, you know, buying knives, buying chemicals, buying bins, all of those things. Now, something that, in my opinion, was one of the most disturbing things, and I'm going to have to look at my laptop here to read this to you, was a list that Joel Guy Jr. made. I am not kidding when I tell you that he labeled this list the Book of Premeditation. He didn't even try, clearly. Like, he didn't even try. So here are the things that were on this list. Prepare. Get carving knives to make small pieces. Get killing knives, quiet, multiple. Get sledgehammer, crush bones. Bring blender and food grinder, grind meat. Get bleach. denature proteins. Get plastic bin for denaturation process. Does not matter where they're killed, just get rid of bloody spots to prevent evidence of time of death. Not the mattress or couches. Get rid of bodies inside house. There and my DNA already there. Open up doggy door to provide entryway, and then he crossed that out. He needs to be blamed, not intruder. So what he was doing here was trying to set up his father to like set it up as a murder-suicide. Flush chunks down toilet, not garbage disposal. Get plastic sheeting for disposal process. Get hollow point bullets just in case. Crossed it out. Will be seen buying bullets, just use computer room gun. Check to make sure there are bullets. Last resort. He's not alive to claim her half of the insurance money. All mine, $500,000. Flood the house. Covers up forensic evidence. Turn heater up as high as it goes. Speeds decomposition. Bleach reacts with luminol, just like blood. Douse area with bleach. Big sprayer. Lie. Trash compactor? Question mark. Body gives time of death. Alibi. Don't have to get rid of body if there is no forensic evidence on the body. And then in all capital letters, his fingerprints and DNA. So, that was his premeditation list. Now, this is very serious. What he did was absolutely disgusting. But I have to say, it is clear that he is not the smartest tool in the shed. Because if you're gonna murder not one, but two people, you don't leave a list laying around for the cops to find. Now, where was he when this was going on? Where was Joel Guy Jr. at? He received several hand lacerations from attacking his father because his father fought back. So he went to Walmart, good old Wally World, to get bandages and medicine. That's where he was when the cops came. I can't. So, they went through the trial. Of course, he was found guilty because he wrote it out in black and white. And he will sit in prison for the rest of his life. Thank God. I'm going to put some photos in here of Joel Guy Jr. so you can see what type of person we're working with here. And, yeah, that's all on that. Very disturbing. My prayers are with the rest of the family. They did have several other children, all girls. And I can't imagine what their daughters are going through. I cannot imagine the horrific loss that they've had to endure, and to know that their own brother did this to their parents. All I can really say is I hope he rots in prison. So yeah, just if you have parents, love them. That's all I can say. Anyways, that's going to be all for me. If you guys like this, please like it. Please subscribe. Please share if you thought it was interesting. I'm still trying to kind of figure out what kind of style I want to do these, because they are very heavy content, but I also like don't want it to be mundane through the whole thing, because it's very hard to take in this type of information anyways. So let me know what you think, and I would love to have you join a community here that I'm trying to build. So thank you so much for watching this. It means a lot to me, and I'll see you later. Bye.